I parked in pole position because that's where we're going to start. Let's have a little look around.
Okay.
So off the start,
Yeah.
qualifying is always quite important in the Northwest, and I'll explain why in a minute. But this whole coast road, I've said it before, is one of the best bits of tarmac in road racing, period, including short circuits. It's nice and smooth, it's big and open, and it's fast and flowing, which all of us bike racers absolutely love. And you can see the view here as well is absolutely brilliant. But you come through the first corner there, is fourth gear on the superbike, so it's really fast, moving to the right hand side of the road, back down one gear into third gear for this left-hander here. This is called Primrose. I don't know many of the names of the corners actually for the Northwest, but this one's called Primrose. There's a big bump in the middle of it. You have to make sure you're off the brake as you go up over that bump, moving over to the right hand side of the road, and the camber changes a little bit. It is quite different already. I can see from the new tarmac it's already a little bit different. There's actually less of a camber change, which is better for us. Big jump up over here. We're already back into fourth gear, maybe even sneak fifth to try and keep the front of the bike down. Moving onto the right hand side of the road again, braking somewhere around here into York hairpin, so all the way back down to first gear. It's the first slow corner on the track. Good passing opportunity, but to be honest, most of the time it's not really worth passing here because we've got a big long straight in a minute, and if you pass somebody, they just end up passing you back in the slipstream usually. Got to be careful on the exit just because of the camber change. It drops away, so you can high side really easily, but you're going to sneak into second gear, probably third gear as you come through this little right kink. Over onto the left hand side of the road, you're going to come up to fourth gear before we get into the really tight roundabout. Really hard braking into this one actually. It's uphill, so you can actually brake later than what you imagine when you're approaching it. Because you're going uphill, obviously the bike slows down more than what you think. And this road is always, or this corner is always tightened up a little bit to make us slow down a lot more by using some, not cones on the track, what would you call them? It's like a small barrier just to make us kind of go around it, to make the right entry into the roundabout a little bit tighter, just to try and slow us down. But we're probably only doing 15 miles an hour or maybe 20 miles an hour through the roundabout there, so it is really tight. But when you accelerate out of here, the bike's going to really get up to speed, so you'll be up to kind of third and fourth gear already. We'll be going back across the centre of the road onto the right hand side of the road at the moment. Up past the petrol station, we're already in fifth gear. We're probably doing about 160 mile an hour past the petrol station, I would have thought. So in that very short space of time, the bike's already well up to speed. And as you just come up over this crest that you can see we're getting to right now, we'll be hitting sixth gear, and the bike actually wants to wheelie. So even though we're doing 175, 180 mile an hour around here somewhere just before these speed limit signs, the bike's actually wheeling up over the top here, so you've got to try and control that wheelie. And you can see how the road dips on the way down. Every one of them rises. The bike just wants to wheelie off the top, so it kind of wheelies off here, then wheelies off the next one, and then a big ballsy corner, station corner, one of my favourite corners in road racing. Absolutely flat chat. You can do this if you want to. On the stocker, definitely. On the superbike, sometimes. Depends how brave you're feeling, but really fast. Sixth gear right-hander.
What speed, Peter?
About 180, 185 mile an hour through that right-hander just there. You use all the road on the exit. You want to try and stay away from the white line, but you generally end up over there on the white line. And this is one of the reasons why it wasn't really worth passing it either, the Mill Road roundabout or York, because you've got this big long straight now and it goes on a long time all the way down to University. So if you pass someone there, they'll just pass you back along here because the slipstream effect is so big at them speeds that you really just don't need to be leading actually. However, having said that, off the start on the first lap, you want to be in that first group. You need to be in the first 6 or 8 riders, otherwise them first 6 or 8 riders just get pulled away from the pack and then you can never catch them again. So it's always really important to qualify well here at the Northwest 200, and it's always really important to be in that first group, especially on lap 1. Once you've kind of got lap 1 out of the way and this straight out of the way on lap 1, everything kind of settles down. You'll always see there's always a pack breakaway. You need to be in that pack. But I mean, this is the Northwest 200 was the first ever international road race that I ever did, and this is the first time that I rode a bike at near 200 miles an hour for a very long period of time. You can see how long this straight is. You don't shut off for any of this straight. It's just flat chat all the way until you get to the houses, which we're coming up to in a minute. And it's just, you never get a chance to actually ride a bike, a big bike, a 1000cc superbike. You don't get a chance to use them to their full potential on short circuits. we get to like the, not terminal speed, but a max speed very quickly and then off again. Whereas here at the Northwest 200, you actually get to that terminal speed and sit there for a long time. So maybe 15, 20 seconds at near 200 miles an hour. And we brake here, right where them houses are, just there. So really hard on the brakes. Normally on the right hand side of the road for me, and then I kind of coast over to the, on the left hand side, and I move over to the right hand side just before we get to the university corner. Obviously a good overtaking opportunity into here. Car sounds good, doesn't it?
Car's good, yeah.
Peter, you're driving top of the range JKC BMW today.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You want to sort of talk to Niall McFlynn here and talk through that.
Yeah,
well,
thanks, Merlin. Yeah, well, listen, we're delighted to be involved with the event once again. Really important year for us this year, with it being 50 years of BMW M to celebrate, and also 50 years of JKC BMW. So this is a special year for us. We're going to have lots of M product at the event this year. And of course, Peter, this is the latest incarnation of the M4. This is the competition model, 510 brake horsepower, and with an X-Drive, which is useful today with this wet surface. So, yeah, you haven't driven this new model. I think the previous one you've spent some time in.
Yeah. So I've had a few of the previous models of this, but this is the first time I've driven this one. I can tell the difference already, even just from the steering wheel. It's much nicer to drive as well. The X-Drive's different. I love the exhaust note. It sounds epic, and obviously having 510 horsepower is always a bonus. The more horsepower, the better for me.
That's good, yeah. And listen, I thought these were quick until I hear you talking about the speed you're doing around the course. But from a car point of view, yeah, exceptional. And this particular car's got the performance exhaust, so it's got the stacked 4-pipe exhaust on the.
It comes out the centre, doesn't it? On this,
it does.
On the sides,
it comes out the centre, and it sounds incredible. So we'll get some sounds around the course over race week.
Peter, I suppose we're now approaching Mather's Cross. What's your thoughts on Mather's Cross here in the chicane itself?
Well, this is everyone's favourite chicane, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously a really, really good passing opportunity. It's really tight, although it's actually been opened up a little bit over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It has been made slightly better. As racers, none of us like chicanes, let's face it. But it has been put in for a reason, I understand that. But it is what it is, it's the same for everyone. And actually, it gives you an extra passing opportunity. It adds a little bit more dimension into the course as well, of course. It's actually a really difficult corner to get right, just because the approach speed is like 190 miles an hour, and because the actual entry speed into the corner is probably only 30-ish, maybe 40. If you brake 2 meters too late, you're suddenly doing 20 mile an hour too much by the time you get to the corner. So it's actually a really difficult corner to judge and get right, which is why a lot of the time you see people passing, or they've had a slipstream, they've gained kind of 5 or 10 mile an hour more than normal, brake at their usual braking point, and then go straight on through the chicane. It's just because they've missed that ever so slight change in speed or distance, and yeah, unfortunately you have to go straight on. But like I said, it is a passing opportunity, and it adds a bit more technicality to the course as well. This is one of my favourite corners, actually, this big left here, which is a bit of a nothing corner almost, but it's taken it over 190 miles an hour. And then we've got another really good passing opportunity into the McAvoy chicane. One of the better chicanes, if you will. It's a much faster chicane, so it's second gear instead of first gear, like Mather's Cross, and it flows all the way through it. You can actually run through the McAvoy chicane really fast, which helps a lot actually. So you really see the difference in like a slow corner like that, which breaks the pack up, whereas a fast corner like this, you're actually dipping into the corner there and nipping through it and back out again. It's actually quite a fun chicane. On the exit here, there's a big camber change and a little bit of a jump where the bike kind of jumps up over the top, and on the exit is your changing direction, which is always good fun. And then obviously the track's dropping away, as you can see now. The cameras probably don't show it as much as what it actually is, but we're going quite a way downhill now, down to the Metropole. And the bike does the same thing as what it did on the way down to Station Corner, which is in every gear it's trying to wheelie, and every one of these rises and dips, the bike just wants to wheelie again, so you have to try and control it. Another good passing opportunity again. We actually get back to 6th gear and about 190 mile an hour again before the Metropole, so the superbikes really do accelerate so fast. I mean, everyone always talks about 0 to 60 in cars, and and bikes and things. And 0 to 60 on a bike's about 2.4 seconds if you get it right off the start. But what they don't tell you is we'll actually reach 100 mile an hour in first gear, and we do that probably in about 3.5 seconds. So it might only be 2.4 to 60, but it's actually probably only another second to get to 100, and actually to 180 is, next to nothing, you know. So we're already well up to 190 mile an hour again here. And what you're looking for the braking marker is the split in the white lines. So that's kind of the general braking marker for the Metropole, is this split in the lines just here is roughly where you're going to brake. So you can go just after where it splits, around there somewhere you can hit the brakes really hard. And it's really wide here, so it kind of almost takes that sense of speed away a little bit, just because it's so wide. The street furniture is a bit further away from you than normal. But then all of a sudden that's a really tight left-hander. It's more than a 90-degree left, the Metropole corner, so it soon catches up to you. By here you're really hard on the brakes, kind of thinking, am I actually going to make this corner or not? Really nice set of corners coming up, and as I've said already, the coast road here at the Northwest 200 is one of my favourite sections of racetrack anywhere in the world. It flows really, really nicely. It's really natural, and obviously has the best view ever while racing a bike at 200 mile an hour. It's so cool. The camber through that left-hander we've just done there is really nice. Not really a passing corner here at Church. It is possible. But again, you're going to come onto a big straight in a minute, so I always think it's a little bit of a pointless kind of overtake, because the rider you've just overtaken is just going to use slipstream to come past you before the Juniper chicane, really. So I never think it's worth passing here. I always love this bit under the bridge, under the railway bridge. It's all new tarmac again here, I can see.
Further up here, Peter, just we've resurfaced a section here right up to Black Hill, some 380 plus meters just from here.
Yeah.
So you'll see this has all been replaced and renewed.
Yeah, I can see I've not even got any white lines yet. But yeah, that'll be interesting. There's a load of bumps, or there was a load of bumps on the inside of that right-hander there. You had to be really tight to the curb, because if you were like a foot or 2 foot out, you'd hit these really bad bumps. If you were really tight into the curb, it was perfect. There was no bumps at all. So I'll be interested to see what the differences are there when we come back in May. Black Hill, awesome corner with a huge drop off on the exit where you change direction. You get lots of photographs on this corner on the exit. Always loads of photographers on the left, because you come into here in third gear, pick the bike up, loads of throttle, and as you change direction, you climb over the right hand side of the bike, but the bike's still facing left. Big wheelie, and there's always
tricky.
Yeah, it's very tricky, and you can't see the curb on the exit, so you have to be really careful on the exit. Yeah. There's always lots of photographers just there on the left, because they get some really cool shots of the bikes, and the rider's trying to fight the bike, trying to get the bike on the floor over the wrong side of the bike while it wheelies. Now we're heading up to the Juniper chicane, the last real passing opportunity of a race. So if you're in a race with 2 or 3 others, or even just one other, this is where it's all going to happen. And for me, I think on the last lap, if I'm actually coming up to the last lap and I'm in first or second position, I probably don't want to be leading coming onto this straight, because I think I'd much prefer to be in second position and actually be the person attacking rather than trying to defend. You never really know where the other rider's going to come from. Obviously, me and Alistair a few years ago had some good battles coming into here. It's quite a tight entrance into the chicane, and again the approach is about 190 miles an hour again, so you're trying to slow all the way down to maybe 40 or 50 mile an hour on the approach into this left hand. You can see how tight it is now. I reckon it feels like it gets tighter every year, but it doesn't. And another real blind corner here up into the last corner. You've got to be really careful when you're braking up over the top. Back to second gear, you need to let the bike drift, but you can see the camber then drops away from you, so you've got to be really careful not to wash the front out just before you turn back into the left. I'm all excited now. That's what driving around a track does for you. Gets you all excited, brings back all the emotions of, especially as it's as we've said already, the mass start of the Northwest 200 is always really exciting, which is why qualifying is so important. Here's your finish line. Hopefully you get to see the checkered flag first. It's a really tight rejoin onto the start and finish. And again, you go watch the camera, you can see it drop away from you there. There's a nice photo of me from 2017 actually, right up into the curb, almost using it as a berm. But you come out of there in second gear, and we're already back into third, and then fourth gear again for this turn one. So it's again back into a real fast right-hander. Nice and open again after just being through the narrow chicane of the start and finish. And absolutely awesome views.
Your favourite, if you were looking at your favourite part of the coast of Saltpeter, what's your thoughts there?
The favourite section has got to be from the Metropole up to this York Corner, this whole coast road. I'd have liked to have ridden it with the start and finish as the start and finish. So where we actually start the mass start on, I'd love to be able to run through and do turn one and turn two here like as a straight line into it. Back in the day, like they did back in the day, I think it'd be epic. But yeah, this whole road from Metropole to York Corner is, yeah, it's so nice, and the undulations in the track are really good. It's just really nice, natural piece of tarmac is the best way of describing it.